That's my thought. What do you think?
Well, it's not new money, so you don't get the 0.25 bonus attached to it. The rates are still the same as they were before the end of the year. They just aren't flashing it on their sign anymore. And if we do a 6-month, the Fed might be raising the interest rates again. And in 6 months, which puts it where, July, August, they might be a little higher. It's a gamble you have to take to see, it's not written in stone anything. So if we do the 6-month, it comes up later. Then we do the second one that we have for the longer period. I mean, that's kind of what we talked the last time, wasn't it? Do a short period, first bunch.
That was the 12th month, and this one may be longer. We have a meeting on the 21st. Kim can gather interest rates and have that to us by the 21st. And we'll only have one dead day that we're not, because it won't be earning anything for one day, but that's not a big deal. So she can gather interest rates for us and give us a 12 and an 18-month. Or just ask them the best rate they can give us for.
Yeah, I'd like to see what they have, because even
12.
if they have, if the other one's done, the other one's tied up now until January of next year. I mean, I don't know, because then I look at it too, and with the ARPA funds, I don't see us needing this
Right.
money. But if it's higher interest to invest in only 6 months and then roll it over, I'd rather just revisit it in 6 months if we can have a higher interest rate. So I'd like to see what they would do for both, you know, long-term and short-term, and just see. But that's my opinion.
I think the 6, the 9, and the 12-month were all the same rate. That's what they gave us the last time. So just see what, I would say just see what you can get, and then let us know. You can make that decision on the 21st.
It may change before you even get to the 20th.
Next on the agenda, we have an ARPA fund request for the wastewater treatment plant backup generator.
I was really pleased with the information Jason gave in the packet in his absence. So I'll go ahead and make that motion that we obligate the $5,895 of ARPA funds to go ahead and start that process for that backup generator.
I'll second.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Beelan. Alderman Guthrie.
Aye.
Alderman Salem.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have hiring a wastewater employee, Daniel Henson, at a rate of $16.22 per hour, which would be based contingent on the drug screen and physical after we get approval.
Make a motion that we accept this recommendation of hire for the wastewater employee, Daniel Henson.
I'll second.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Guthrie.
Aye.
Alderman Beelan.
Aye.
Alderman Salem.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. There should be a few pictures in the packet. The Lions Club have a pickleball court proposal. We looked at a lot of options on where to place these, and both pavilions at Orchard, a really nice flat space, far enough away from the pavilions that if there's rentals, it wouldn't affect people playing pickleball court or vice versa. But they could also be utilized for people that are renting those pavilions. And they're wanting to get approval. They're wanting to do all the work. They just want the city to take over maintenance when they're done, which basically be, check in nets and painting lines and so forth.
close to the parking area, is that why, other than the flat section, is that why they're staying where they're at?
We looked at Evergreen, the old basketball court with the ramp, and the amount of work that would need to be done up there wasn't really cost effective. These were the flattest surfaces, and yeah, it works perfectly for the bathrooms and parking.
What's the hard surface going to be?
My understanding is concrete, but it's not going to be like the sealed slick stuff, and it's not going to be that broom brushed. It's like a medium. And all the contractors that will be working on it do have hold harmless agreements with the city already. They will take care of all.
My only question was, it said that they want a small driveway and access.
That is the old one for Evergreen, I do believe.
These are which ones?
That's the old
So
one.
not
These
within the
pictures.
pack.
Yes, just
Okay.
these pictures. Yeah, that was the original one for where the old basketball courts were at Evergreen. But
Okay.
it was already in the packet, and
Okay.
we took a look at it. It was just not going to be cost effective for them.
So they have all the work lined up and all the installation will be done by them or their contractors. The only thing that will be city is just the maintenance by our park workers to keep sure the nets are not torn. And then when we paint lines, they'll paint lines on the pickleball court.
Yes, correct. That's my understanding.
Do we have anything in writing with them as far as outlining that work and the packet as far as you said all of the contractors have hold harmless. Do they have business licenses? And do we know who's doing the work? And our park guys are
John
like
Pelton
on
and Jay
Reddit?
Rice.
Okay.
Are they going to put any type of reinforcement into the concrete, whether it be wire mesh or half-inch rods or fiber mesh or anything like that? Because, saying this because in the future, if we're going to have to be responsible for its upkeep, and a slab cracks, and concrete does two things: it gets hard and it cracks, and it shifts without any reinforcement in it. Then that's an issue we have, and Murmur will definitely have, because it'd be a trip hazard.
Trip hazard. Yeah.
That he did not give total design plans. They wanted basically approval, so I guess we can contingent upon.
That, as far as I know, is a game changer if they don't have anything in there.
Well,
Keep the slabs from shifting.
and I really think since we're all this board is all temporary. I mean, it can change every year, every other year. I think it'd be a really good idea to get something in writing that says, who did the work so that they can, questions can be asked later, or something in writing between Lions and the city that there is the agreement that we'll take over maintenance, and also, like Art said, like specs specific about what they're going to do so that we can give approval whether we think, if we're going to take over and assume ownership and maintenance, we need to know if it's quality work as far as for MIRMA's standards and what we're going to have to upkeep. I think it would be a good idea to have that information.
I did have that discussion with John Pelton. I told him they made sure they wanted the city to know that we would take them over and take care of the maintenance on them. And I told him we had to have something in writing for that. And then also I did mention to him we do need a set of specs as to, they're going to do 4-inch thick concrete. They are going to do reinforcement. It'll probably be wire mesh, art, which would be fine. But to get, we probably need to know what type of finish they're going to do on top of it, so on and so forth. So we agreed on those 2 documents. It's just a matter of who's going to draw them up.
So you're being the point of contact for that right now here at City Hall?
Myself, the mayor, myself, and Keith met with him.
So can we just make a recommendation that as long as Craig continues to get what he needs to make it well, then we'll move forward? Would that work for the other board members?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think we could approve the location based on,
Because I know they're wanting to do it So it's ready, they want you to have it ready for decent weather.
for late spring.
So we can.
It wouldn't take them long to come up with a spec sheet as to what they're gonna do. It wouldn't take them very long at all.
Is this gonna have a fence around
No.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the location and that we wait until February 21st meeting or whenever they have the specs ready for us to approve the installation. Does that work? Meet 'em halfway? I made a
Yeah, I think
motion.
that's fair.
Okay,
I'll
perfect.
second that.
Okay.
it? What was the motion?
The motion was to move ahead and approve the sites, but to wait on final approval of installation until we see the specs of the concrete and job.
Second, may I have roll call, please?
Alderman Beeman.
Aye.
Alderman Sands.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Alderman Guthrie.
Aye.
Okay, next we have the community center rental rate discussion. I know that we had talked before about raising their rent to 800 and their board met, and they can go to 700. So when they bring it back in front of the board, to see your thoughts on that.
What did they pay me now?
550.
550?
They offer a pretty amazing service for the community, and I'd like to see us break even, but I don't want to push too hard and then lose the service that they give to the community. I did try to figure out, I had asked Kim about how much it cost us in utilities, and she said that's, kind of hard to figure, because some months it's 600, some months it's 1,000. But it seems like, the 700 a month is much closer to meeting that than where we were.
And I think if we do some improvements, who knows, we may be able to get some more rentals and use that property more than what it is now. So
Right.
I think that's fair. I think the 700 is fair, and I would make a motion to accept their offer, the increase of $700.
I'll second.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Beelan.
Aye.
Alderman Salem.
Aye.
Alderman Guthrie.
Aye.
Alderman Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have a general fund salary correction to reflect 4.1% CPI.
Is that the final motion we need to make?
I would think it would match that pretty much exactly.
I will make a comment before we do this, that I am fine to make that correction. But I do feel like I'm only fine to do that correction after having received some written information and speaking to the affected staff members. Because I feel like, yes, this board has the power to make that correction, but those numbers were in front of us for 3 months while we had budget meetings. No one asked questions, no one noticed that the number was different. And sometimes just because you have the power doesn't mean you should use the power. So again, the staff member that are affected have assured me that they feel like this is the proper step for the board to take. But I don't necessarily think that it is a good reflection of use of power on this board's behalf, because those numbers were in front of us for months. And somebody should have asked questions, or somebody should have caught it. I saw it.
It's confusing.
Well,
But I
not
caught it,
only
I
that,
asked
but-
questions, I knew what I was voting on, and that's why I'm struggling to make this change. So I just wanted to be on record as saying that. Sometimes when you have the power, you shouldn't necessarily use the power.
I don't think it's about power, I think it's about fairness across the board. I think that there was an oversight, and when we had a second set of eyes that noticed that and made the recommendation that that should be adjusted, and it wasn't adjusted, I think we're just correcting that situation by making this motion.
I would agree.
So I'll make that motion to make the correction to the general fund to reflect 4.1 and the salary line item. 4.1%, I'm sorry.
May I have roll call, please?
Alderman Sykes?
Nay.
Alderman Guthrie?
Then you have to abstain. If you don't want to vote, then you abstain.
Abstain.
Alderman Beelan? Alderman Salem?
Aye.
So first.
In our ordinance, we have an ordinance in this city that anytime one half of the board votes in a position, the mayor can vote with that group to, in essence, break a tie because of an abstention. Basically treating the abstention as a no. So if you're in favor of the two aye votes, you can vote with them. If you're not in favor, you cannot do that, and it denies.
I vote in favor. Aye. Motion carries. Attorney Voss, do you have anything?
In all honesty, it carried anyway, because this was not an ordinance. Or this was just a motion, right? This was not an ordinance.
Yes.
So if it's just I want to correct what I just said, since it's not an ordinance, it's just a majority of those voting, and two voted in favor and one voted no. So it passed even without that. So either way, it has been approved.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Chief?
This is one of the few times where I get to do something positive instead of coming up here and griping and begging for money or telling me about something bad. So Lieutenant Sykes and Officer Dunn are approaching the podium. January 15th, Sunday, in reference to St. Clair PD report number 2023-00055, Officer Sykes, or Lieutenant Sykes and Officer John Meyer responded to an incident with a suicidal subject involving he'd already made inflicted injury upon himself, cutting his arm. Officer John Meyer responded first and took care of the situation. And Lieutenant Sykes responded to back him up. I'll read these two letters. The first one's for Officer John Meyer. This letter is commend you for your actions regarding suicidal subject at 1680 Franklin Drive on Sunday, January 15, 2023. Upon your arrival, you located the subject in question and observed the subject had self-inflicted injury to his left arm and was extremely irate over the police being called. Subject made comments that he would not be transported to the hospital and was ready to fight officers. Subject then took a fighting stance and clenched his fist. At this point, you drew your department-issued taser and told the subject he was being placed in protective custody. The subject immediately reached into his right pocket and drew out a knife and displayed it in a threatening and aggressive manner towards you. You immediately gave clear orders to the subject to drop the knife, and after several commands, the subject complied and was taken into custody. This incident could have ended tragically, with officers and the subject being hurt or worse, killed. Your professionalism and training kicked in, and you were able to handle the incident and obtain a positive outcome where no one was injured further and the subject getting the help he needed. On behalf of the members of the St. Clair Police Department, command staff, and myself, thank you for a job well done. Respectfully submitted, Chief Michael Howard. Lieutenant Sykes, this letter commends you for your actions regarding suicidal subject at 1680 Franklin Drive on Sunday, January 15th. Upon hearing Officer John Meyer needing assistance, the AS subject at taser point, you responded to assist. Upon your arrival, Officer John Meyer was giving verbal commands to the subject, which at this time had pulled a knife from his right pocket. At this point, you drew your department issued firearm until the subject dropped the knife and was, as